Zack Pearson joining us now from Bear Report. He's been with the team for about 8 years now, and he's excited to maybe not have to cover the first round of the NFL draft, at least the first 10 picks or so, as he joins us now on the BetMGM network. Zack, my first question to you, how good are the Bears?
They're a team that I think could beat almost every team except for 5 or 6, but could lose to literally every team. So, I mean, we could see them lose to some of the worst teams in the league as well. But yeah, I mean, they're 6-3. They're not going to apologize for being 6-3. They've, kind of taken advantage of an easier schedule, but now it gets a little tougher. And I think to kind of answer your question, we're going to find out here starting this week with Minnesota, because this is a really tough stretch to end the year.
Zach, as a diehard Chicago Bears fan, I am ecstatic. We actually have a product that is stomachable, to say the least. So I think the Chicago Bears are actually having a meaningful run here and being 6-3 on the season. I do want to talk about something, though, that has been racking the brain a lot of fantasy football managers out there. They've been watching intently what shares in that offensive backfield and how they would be split with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai on the field together. We saw that DeAndre Swift had the upper hand in week 11. Do you see that moving forward, or is it going to remain a hot hand situation? So handicap it for us. The backfield split rest of season between DeAndre Swift and the Rutgers rookie Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, I think we're going to get closer to 50-50 as the year goes on. And Ben Johnson said going into this week, he said, we're going to go with the hot hand if we need to. And that was Kyle Monangai against the Bengals. Now, they started off, like you said, with DeAndre Swift. But Monangai down the red zone got a couple touches, got the touchdown. Late in the game, they kind of split it a little bit between Swift and Monangai in the second half. So I think we'll eventually get to 50-50 where they want to use both. Could I see a game or two where Swift probably has the advantage? Yeah, but I think, like Johnson said, they're going to go with the hot hand. It's going to depend on the situation.
Zach, let's stay on offense because Colston Loveland had his breakout a couple of weeks ago with that game-clinching touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are just giving up big plays at tight ends left and right. Do you anticipate a consistent and meaningful role down the home stretch for the rookie out of Michigan? Talk about his development over the regular season's 11 weeks so far.
Yeah, it would be smart to get him the ball, and we didn't. I don't believe he had a target until the second half of that game over here against. I'm blanking on who they just beat. But yeah, the Giants. Yeah. I'm sorry, the Giants. Yeah, yes. No, I would get him more involved. I think they will. He said himself he was drafted number 10 overall. There is talent there. I think, that shoulder he had in the offseason that was hurt coming off the surgery, not really getting that full offseason in terms of a rookie. You're already behind in development. I think he's just now starting to catch up. I think he's kind of where they want him to be at this stage of his career so far, his rookie season. So, yeah, I do think he'll have a bigger role moving forward. I think we'll see a little bit more of Cole Kmet in the blocking role. And, Cole Kmet's been good in that blocking role, which opens up Colston Loveland for the receiving role. But yeah, he'll be the featured tight end moving forward. And we'll have to see if they get him and Luther Burden involved, kind of the rookie duo there.
I think I can count on one hand how many quarters J.J. McCarthy's been good in this year. That's probably fair. Unfortunately for Bears fans, one of those quarters was the fourth quarter opening night. Like, what the hell happened there? He was bad for 3, and then he was amazing for 1. That said, should Minnesota be favored against the Bears this weekend?
What is it at? 2.5 still, I think?
2.5, 3. Yeah.
2.5. Home team gets 3. I think the line's just about right, but man, you said it. Like, watching him against Atlanta and then watching him against the Ravens, the Lions, he hasn't been very good. And, in that week 1 game when Nashawn Wright's taking the pick 6, I'm like, okay, this game's over. There's no way Minnesota's coming back. But you watch McCarthy and he's like, you see the flashes of talent, but then he'll make some just pretty bad throws. Probably should have had another interception on Sunday against Baltimore. So, yeah, I do think the line is about right. Maybe moves a point before kickoff or ahead of kickoff. But, yeah, I would say it's about right for what it is right now, a road game in the division.
We're talking to Zack Pearson, covers the Bears, her Bear Report on 247 Sports. Zack, is there any hope? Any hope at all? A shred is all I'm asking, that the defense can at least be respectable, or will Caleb Williams be forced to chuck the rock at like 35 plus times per game rest of the season? Please give me some hope this defense can get right.
I'm going to lean the latter. I think your offense is going to have to go out and win those games. Like, getting Kyler Gordon back will be huge. He's eligible to come off IR, for week 12. I don't imagine him playing in week 12, probably more like a week 13, 14 thing. Jalen Johnson's the key one. If they get Jalen Johnson back, I think their defense could be a little bit more respectable. He changes a lot of things. You'll roll with him, Gordon, Stevenson, and you'll put CJ Gardner-Johnson on the field because how he's playing right now. But yeah, until I see that out there, I'm not too optimistic. They also need to get TJ Edwards back as well, who, broke a bone in his hand, should play with the cast or the club or whatever they call it. But yeah, they just have so many holes. And you saw Jackson Dart expose them. I mean, if Jackson Dart doesn't leave that game, the Bears probably lose. He beat him with his arm and his leg. So yeah, they got some issues on that secondary. I think Dennis Allen's going to have to get really creative.
Brad and I watch the games. We bet on the games, but we're not there. We don't have boots on the ground, so we're not around the team every day like you are. Just take us through what it's been like to be around Ben Johnson. I know it's a big difference from Matt Eberflus, but What are some things you can tell us about what you've noticed and how the team has changed?
Confidence, number one. He's full of confidence. He set the tone right away when he got there. He rebuilt this culture. And you guys know how bad it was last year, with everything that went on, the Thanksgiving game, all that. To inherit that, it wasn't easy. Yeah, there's a lot of talent he inherited. But to kind of get those guys to buy back in and right away set that culture, I think that was very important. He speaks with confidence. He speaks clearly. He tells you straight up. He said, yeah, we're trying to get Colston Loveland involved. We're trying to get Luther Burden involved. And they're starting to do that. So it's none of this, quote unquote, like coach speak that we heard from Matt Eberflus, which is a little refreshing. He's honest with you. He's honest with the media. I just think the biggest thing for me is just seeing how much that team is bought in and how much they're not, they're already at 6 wins, which last year they had 5 wins. They're not settling. They know, they're celebrating the locker room, but they know they still have a long ways to go in terms of setting this foundation and getting this thing fully on the right track moving forward. So they're not satisfied, and I think that's all him. And plus, man, those post-game speeches, are pretty good too. They're not Matt Eberflus reading off a list of things that he did after a win. So yeah, he's been very refreshing to be around.
Talk to me about your real belief in a season run here, because BetMGM has them to make the playoffs at plus 140. They're a small dog, but I trust you to be objective here. Is this a playoff team?
No, I'm not going to bet them. I would not bet them to go to the playoffs right now. I just think that schedule is too tough, man. Like Green Bay twice, Philadelphia on the road, still have Detroit. I think they're going to hang around, though. I think they'll be there. They'll be in the mix, but I think they'll be kind of like that Lions team a couple years ago. They just they were right there at number 8, couldn't get in, and that's when they kind of started to ascend. I think that's kind of the path the Bears are going to be at. If they're going to make the playoffs, though, these next 2 games are it. They have to win these next 2. I don't think you can split and get in because you're essentially looking at Green Bay, Detroit. Could flip those 2 in the NFC North. You have to beat out San Francisco, Seattle, the Rams. I think it's just too much to overcome. And it's not the end of the world if you don't make the playoffs. I still think, if you get there to right there in the hunt and you're the 8 team right there, I think that's still a pretty good season for Ben Johnson his first year.
All right, that's Zack Pearson, who covers the Bears for Bear Report on 247 Sports. Follow on X at Zack with a K _Pearson. Zack, really appreciate your time. Enjoy Ben Johnson and enjoy this roller coaster, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying the K too. My mom would really appreciate that.
Tell Mom, no problem. So honest there at the end, Brad. Not there yet on the playoff push.
Yeah, and I think that's warranted. And again, it's because of what he said on my question I asked, the last one I did about the defense. I mean, they just do not have the playoff makeup because that defense is just overly forgiving and very leaky on the back end. Yeah, you could say you get some of those key pieces back with Kyler Gordon and also with Jalen Johnson, and maybe that's a shot in the arm needed to regain some of that respectability. But even with those guys on the field, they've been kind of sourpusses when it comes to defending the pass. And they've had their moments, been rather formidable against the run on occasion, but that run defense is taxed because the secondary cannot make any plays. So you just get exhausted in games because teams can really lay punch after punch after punch downfield and extend drives. And again, it just exhausts and tires your defense on the front line as a result. So that it will ultimately lead to the Bears' undoing. And plus, they have the fourth hardest remaining strength of schedule of any team in the NFL. It's a really tough road to hoe, to say the least. And, the arrow's pointing up, folks. It's not all doom and gloom by any stretch of imagination. You know how the media in Chicago can act so negative at times. And people were already writing like Caleb Williams off this season after like 2 or 3 games. I'm like, just let it simmer. Take a chill pill, man. Relax. He's going to be fine. And let Ben Johnson, dig in his nails within this offensive scheme. And we're seeing the running backs really take off now, whether it's Monangai or Swift. We're seeing the wide receivers take that quantum leap forward in Rome Odunze. DJ Moore has had his moments. Colston Loveland, again, a couple of weeks ago against Cincinnati. This offense is going to be well-tuned. It's going to be A-OK and just fine. They're going to have to make some investments, so defensively, to take that next step forward in the offseason to be a certifiable playoff team next year, because I don't think that's going to be the case this season.
The games are exciting again. They're worth watching. And this team honestly believe that if they're close late, they can win. Now, they may be wholeheartedly incorrect, but they do believe. And it's been a long time since a Bears team has believed.